Assassin's Creed Valhalla could be one of the best Assassin's Creed games we've got yet. It just needs a little bit of axe grease and less Helix armor sets in future updates. Hey folks, Andy here, and I'm going to be taking you through 10 things we want as Assassin's Creed fans that would make this game way more enjoyable going into the next big update, Wrath of the Druids. Kicking it off with number 10, and that's replayability. Now with the recent DLC update with the River Raids, we do technically have some replayable content here, but is it actually fun to replay this same content we have, or is there any sort of reason to replay it after we actually complete the main reason for doing it in the first place? Unfortunately for us, the answer is no. So going forward into this next DLC, I think this is a great opportunity in Wrath of the Druids to replicate some of these great castle and fort battles we experienced during the story, just like Dunwich for example. Ubisoft have already confirmed to us that we're going to be tackling these circular fortifications, which I think are going to be super cool, and I'd also put serious money on Ubisoft adding extra raiding locations in Ireland that we could choose to do at Ravensthorpe down at the docks. Now this is all well and good, but for replayable content to be successful, I think there's got to be a tangible goal, reward, or friendly community competition aspect integrated, and I'm not just talking about an easy win reskin. We want that cool elusive gear which is really difficult to get hold of, as well as more raiding or challenging locations with a less reliance on that kind of copy and paste element, and I think this is really crucial if Ubisoft actually want us to play their game every day. Do we really want to be rocking up at the same farm several times a day to only loot a ration from a chest? We don't. We definitely don't, and it's as simple as that. Now when it comes to armor and weapons, I could honestly reel you off a Christmas list of wanted changes here. But with this new DLC, as a player base, we need less Helix armor sets as some sort of acceptable update. We need less reskins branded as new gear, and some genuine new Viking armor and weapons that genuinely makes me feel like it's me versus this ancient dark cult in the woods. Rocking up looking like Mr. Freeze from Batman while I'm hunting down Druidic tribes, it just does not do it for me. Good news though, because Valhalla has actually performed very well financially, Ubi are pumping more resources into this game, getting more personnel on the game, which can only be beneficial for us in the long term. They also said in a recent third-party announcement that they will be revamping this dual-wielding combat system, as well as adding new gear and cosmetic items in the next month, by the way. So, one-handed swords, where you at? Transmogification, and I'm still bamboozled why we don't actually have this yet. And if we don't get it in Wrath of the Druids, that's going to be around about 6 months since release, since that option hasn't been made available to us, which really does take the wind out of your sails. Legacy outfits are a great thing. Even if you haven't actually played any of the old Assassin's Creed games, running around in that iconic white robe outfit, or even being able to get hold of Basim's armor set, which is actually already in the game by the way, because the dude is wearing it and would be truly awesome to have, particularly in a game at the moment when we're not really feeling like we're an assassin at this particular stage. But I do have more good news on the horizon. Ubisoft have confirmed that this will be implemented, but just hasn't specified when. Classic. This is the perfect opportunity though to put this new Transmogification legacy outfit into the new paid DLC. I think it makes sense for the company to do so and not to release it before the Ostara festival next month. I think it adds that extra bit of glitter on the new DLC, which is going to enhance those positive reviews purely because loads of people want this and it's a good tactic from a business point of view. Now number 7 for me would be getting ourselves some new enemies with new interesting fight styles, weapons and maneuvers, and I think that would be a really welcome addition going forward. The thing is, as soon as you get to a solid number of hours in Valhalla, you already begin to kind of clock the best way to nuke down NPCs, and the combat system does end up becoming a little bit rudimentary. This is particularly so when you kind of pick up some decent gear, figure out how it works, and then also pick up some weapons that actually complement the gear set. Saying that though, there are a few standout boss fights in this game which were really enjoyable. That one of them being the Builder in Asgard and the second being Steinbjorn in Jotunheim. They were challenging, they were hard hitting, they had a little bit of strategy to them and it got me sweating and it felt great. You could also say the same thing by the way about the legendary animals. I thought they were pretty solid encounters and good fun to play. In my opinion though, challenging content is good content, and if we've got more boss fights like we've just chatted about now, I'm really hopeful, so fingers crossed for this one. Now my number 6 has to be the storyline, and it's what keeps us coming back for more each year, and they know it. Especially with Darby McDevitt on board, who is a very talented storyteller and writer in my opinion, and I think he's done a great job so far. However, I'm still waiting for that oh my god kind of moment, which I'm hoping is when Eivor will become an assassin or even a Templar. Either way, I'm hoping for more kind of assassin gameplay elements as we progress through these DLCs this year. I do get that we're in the Viking raiding RPG mode at the moment, which I do genuinely thoroughly enjoy, but I want to be able to sneak around undetected and choose gear that's going to enhance that stealth choice. I'm also really keen to know how Eivor ended up dead in Vinland. This is a massive question mark in terms of story and lore, and it's definitely going to be something we're exploring this year. As an FYI though, we did pick up some half decent leaks recently, which said that Paris will have a larger storyline comparatively to that of Wrath of the Druids, so don't expect a marathon in terms of storyline coming up. But what I would say is expect a setup before the next game, if that makes sense. The idea of running around as assassin or equally a Templar in Dublin or Paris and potentially reliving Isu memories through Basim while hooked into the Animus would be insane. Sign me up. By the way, ladies and germs, before I do break into the top 5, if you've got any sort of value or had a bit of a laugh from this video, then hit the like down below. It helps me out loads, and consider subscribing to the channel for more AC videos like this. Coming in at number 5 for me, in the post-launch trailer, Jose, who is the post-launch producer, says that we'll be able to influence the trading systems in Dublin, which at that particular time was a bustling trading metropolis. Now, I don't want to get carried away with the fairies here, but having some sort of input in terms of trade, even on a surface level between the city of Dublin and your settlement, would be excellent. I would be very keen for some sort of passive income, whether that be leather, iron, silver, or something that would allow me to stockpile these resources at the settlement. We'd be able to increase the trading surplus by perhaps, and I'm just speculating here, but raiding or retaking forts in local areas that, if we don't then retake them, would impact the flow of goods and trade to Ravensthorpe. I think this would be a great incentive for replayability, to be honest, and would actually link up the base in Ireland to Ravensthorpe quite well. Now, my number 4, and it's all about Jomsvikings, and to be honest with you, there isn't much positive to say about them right now, and some of you will know that I am an optimistic dude in general, but I am hopeful for the future. They can be so much more, and I really think they will add to our Viking experience in Wrath of the Druids and Paris if we get some substantial quality changes. Going forward, I'd love to see them replicate a Brotherhood system. I have spoken about it before, but I think it's just too perfect opportunity to not implement a similar type of game style where you can send out your Jomsvikings around the map on missions and raids for income and XP, particularly as we head into the new regions of Ireland. We've been pulling our hair out in our Discord channel, trying to get to grips with this friendship system as well. It just seems so unpolished, and something as simple as adding your friends to your Jomsviking crew seems incredibly challenging when it shouldn't be. If you've had any luck with this, by the way, or you've got a really refined, good way to sort this out, please let us know down below, or even better, jump into our Discord and let us all know how to do it, because we want to know. The link's below, by the way. Coming in hot at number 3, and that is glitches and bugs going into DLC paid content. The River Raids DLC was definitely an improvement on the Yule Festival, bug and glitch wise, which is good news. But as we head into the Ostara Festival next month, Ubisoft has said that we'll be getting a new game mode that builds on Valhalla's core combat experiences, which will include new gear, probably a reskin, and new cosmetic items. But the thing is, there's not a massive amount of difference here in terms of content comparatively to that of the River Raids, so hopefully glitches and bugs will be a thing of the past. Paid DLC though is a completely different kettle of fish, and going forward there are still multiple bugs that have not been resolved in the game right now. I find this pretty disappointing, to be honest, because it has been a number of months since release, and you'd expect to be able to actually find mackerel and flatfish somewhere in this game. I still can't, even after the supposed hotfix patch. However, as much as I want new content, I would much prefer it if they would release it when it's ready, and I'd like them to take their time just to make sure it runs smoothly, especially if people are paying for this content. Now, at number 2, we've got a great opportunity here to see some fantastic Easter eggs, and I absolutely love Easter eggs and secrets. I think Assassin's Creed does a great job implementing them in their games. Ireland, just like Britain in the time period, is so rich with history. It's a great excuse for the developers to sneak in a few modern nuances that are fun for everyone who finds them. There's a couple options here which I think we could see, and if we do indeed get more Easter eggs in the DLC, which I think we will, then I reckon these will be making an appearance. We've got a prehistoric monument called the King's Tomb, which is at Newgrange. This is where all the famous kings of Ireland were buried, and it actually predates the Egyptian pyramids. Very interesting. I reckon Ubisoft are all over that. We've also got the Giant's Causeway, which is where a volcanic eruption occurred. There's actually a story behind it. Apparently a giant created this bridge all the way across to Scotland to fight another giant, so I reckon they're going to sling that in there as well. And of course, I wouldn't be surprised if we pick up some Guinness references, fighting, whiskey, leprechauns, all of that kind of stuff, which would be great fun to see. If you like Easter eggs and you're interested in checking out more of them, I've got a top 10 Valhalla video right at the top of the screen right now if you want to give that a whirl. Coming in at my number one, and it's 2 for the price of 1 here, and that is New Game Plus and a bit of communication chat. For those of you who don't know what New Game Plus is, it's essentially a mode that allows us to replay certain missions, boss encounters, fights, anything you like after you've completed the main storyline of the game. This keeps all your gathered experience, weapons and armor in check and allows you just to pop back and tuck into things that you like. This was implemented in Odyssey and picked up a fantastic reception from everybody in the community, so it would be great to see this implemented in Valhalla sooner rather than later. I think this is particularly important, especially as we go into Ireland, because if we do come across some of the forts that are quite challenging and difficult to overcome in the storyline, I would actually like to go back and replay them after I've finished it. Now, when it comes to communication, I also think it would be nice to get a bit more of a heads up going forward in terms of content information. I think it was around about a month and a half before we actually received any information about River Raids, and then I felt like it was just thrown at us very, very quickly. I do appreciate it's difficult times at the moment, but I think it would be great to get a little bit more intel about current things they're changing and they're planning to implement in the run-up to the actual launch date. That's just me though. Maybe I'm just too much of an Assassin's Creed fan and they've actually been pretty good on the communication front. Either way, let me know down in the comments below and check out our community Discord if you want to chat with some great like-minded people. I honestly cannot speak highly enough of these folks. They are such a great bunch. I'm really glad we've got a great Discord here, and if you're interested in terrible jokes and more AC content, join the server and say hi. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you enjoyed the video, hit a like. If you didn't, hit a dislike and consider subscribing for more content just like this. And as usual guys, coffee's on me.